Hi everyone, my name's Pan and welcome to another edition of Bluebird Corner, the Cardiff City Fans podcast. If you do subscribe for free in the last few days of August, you'll be in a prize draw to win a photo frame with the Wales squad, Wales first team, in the 2016 Euros. That's a fantastic year where we got to the semi-final. I was in Lille when we beat Belgium 3-1. So that might be a lovely little gift for someone for Christmas. So every Tuesday, as we know, we look back at a season. We're now on the 92-93 season. We start with the 1980 season. And this season was one that City fans remember really well. It's great to get your comments as well about what season and certain players that brought back really good memories. So it's great to hear your comments as well about your thoughts on a particular season you started supporting the City. So we'll talk about some background to the season, players that we chipped out, players that we brought in, and with the players we brought in, we'll bring up the photos, and we'll tell you a little bit about what they're doing now as well, and then look at the season, and at the end we'll do bring up the league table and also give you the average attendance and the top goal scorers for that season. So Cardiff City, with under new ownership, Rick Wright, the Barry Island Resort owner, he, as you might remember, came in the back end of the 91-92 season as financial controller, working with Tony Clemmer. Tony Clemmer, as we know, been at City a number of years, really struggling to keep the club afloat. He did his best, but he had limited resources. We kept on selling our best players like Jimmy Gilligan, Kevin Bartlett, Mike Ford, etc. So, we needed some new impetus, and Rick Wright came in and really, our attendances went up the previous season by 50% from 3 to 6,000. And, Rick Wright, I wouldn't say it was a revolution, but he did obviously lift the club, and the supporters, really sort of got kind of reconnected with the City, really, and brought back a lot of fans to the club. So Eddie May, he brought in as a kind of like continental type coach instead of a manager at the back end of the previous season. And a number of players inherited Eddie May that he wanted out the club. So Gary Gill left, Pat Hurd, Mark Jones, Alan Walsh, and Roger Hansbury, our goalkeeper, who was well liked by City fans, unfortunately had to retire. So City bring in a number of players before the season starts. In comes the former Man United defender, Derek Brazil. Derek, who's now 56, played 115 times for City and ended his football career as a manager at Pontypridd. He still lives in Cardiff and he runs a physical education business coaching football. We also brought in Robbie James, a fantastic player, probably one of my favourite players during that period, even though he was an ex-Jack. He actually was a natural midfielder in his younger days, but he did a really good job for us as he got older at right back. He played 51 times for us, ex-Welsh international, and Robbie sadly passed away in 1998, aged only 40, really sad. And he played an incredible 864 games, scored 141 times, and there is actually a bust of Robbie at Swansea City Stadium. We also brought in Nicky Richardson, the midfielder born in Halifax with his long locks, now age 58. I was signing for 35,000, as I remember, played 111 games for City, industrious midfield player, and he runs a business now with his ex-football brother Lee, which is about empowering professional mental health, mindset, and performance. So, and also we brought in John Williams, the central defender, was on loan from Bournemouth the back end of the previous season. He came on a permanent contract, born in Liverpool. He had well, you might not like to say this, but his nickname during that time was Freddy Krueger, a bit of a resemblance to Freddie. And he played 6 times for City and later worked for Bournemouth as a coach. He's now age 64. So we'll look at the season. We'll go through that. And we also signed a couple more players and we'll talk about them during the season. So City start with a 0-0 draw in front of a crowd of just over 8,000 fans. And this is the first time, actually, that Cardiff City have seats in the Bob Bank. And older fans will remember the Bob Bank could probably, get 15 to 20,000 people on that terrace. I always remember that Wales-Scotland game in 1985. And also when we played Brazil, I think, Wales. So there was, it was a fantastic standing area for City fans. Games I remember as well against Burnley and Pompey, etc. The atmosphere is incredible. But yeah, this was the first time that we had seats at the top part of the Bob Bank. So City actually, they win their next 3 games with Cardale getting 4 goals. City then lose to Torquay, but go unbeaten in their next 4, with Pikey getting 4 in 5 games. City then draw at home to Admira Wacker. This was in the European Cup Winners' Cup. In the previous season, we won the Welsh Cup final. So we were in the Cup Winners' Cup again, in a crowd of just under 10,000. But we lose the return leg 2-0 to, unfortunately, go out in the first round. City then lose their 2 away games to Crewe and Shrewsbury. And Tony Kelly comes in. Tony Kelly's real name is, his proper name was Nairiri Anthony Okpara Kelly, which I didn't know. He played 5 games on loan for City from Stoke. He's now age 59. The ex-winger had a lot of personal issues, and he lost actually 300 grand over 9 years through gambling. And his book he wrote is called Red Card in 2013. If you do get a chance to get that, it's well worth a read. So it's called Red Card. So, City bring in Kelly on loan. And in December, City decide to, Eddie May actually decides to bring in proven striker Phil Stant from Mansfield for £100,000. And Phil, an absolute legend at Cardiff City, known as Stantonar. Born in Bolton, he played 79 times for City, scored 34 goals, the ex-army man who was in the Falklands in the infantry brigade. He was a legend, as I said, probably one of the toughest number 9s we've ever had, a bullet of a shot. And Phil runs the Newark and Sherwood College Football Academy and was a youth development employee for the Football League as well. So with Stant brought in, Dale, unfortunately at this point, Carl Dale has a nasty injury and Blakey is out for a month. And although City win at Doncaster with a Paul Miller goal, City lose their next at home to Wrexham and a 3-up against York on Boxing Day before actually drawing that game 3-all with Stant getting 2. And at this point, City are actually 8th in the league. And after losing at Lincoln 3-2, Eddie May at this point approaches Kevin Radcliffe, and he actually joins, incredibly really, it wouldn't happen now, on a match-by-match basis. Kevin's now age 64, the ex-Everton captain, played 25 games for City and now works for BBC Wales Sport as a pundit and commentator. Now, City then beat Hereford in the new year and go on a 14-game unbeaten run with 13 wins. I was looking back through our records. I can't recall us having that kind of run. Someone might be able to tell me different. City are now top of the league in March. The defence is really strong with Gavin Ward in goal, James and Sewell the fullbacks, and Perry and Brazil in defence, with Radcliffe there also as well. City lose at Bury, but their next game at home draws a crowd of 16,000 against Barnet. I remember that one. And City draw with a goal from Cohen Griffiths. City then beat Scarborough 3-1 away. And City only get 1 point, though, in the next 2 games, and now in second after losing at York 2-1. Mm-hmm. We then go unbeaten for their next 4 league games and win all of them, including a home victory against Shrewsbury in front of a crowd of over 17,000 that day. That was a great day. I remember that one like yesterday. And the one I do remember more clearly, believe it or not, was our last game of the season away to Scunthorpe, which drew a crowd of, I think it was 7,500. And believe it or not, that day, and I think it's the only time, I think Brentford away happened, but it's the only time I remember where we took two ends of a stadium. So we had, both ends of either goal. And I think we took 6,100 fans that day. We went up in a minibus, and after the game, which we won 3-0, it was an easy win. It was a great occasion. And former director of Cardiff City, Julian Jenkins, was actually a friend of mine. He came up as a group of us. We drove up, and then we drove on to Blackpool and had a fantastic weekend in Blackpool. So that was one match I remember really, really clearly that day. Loads of people in fancy dress on the pitch at the end. It was just a joyous day. Immense atmosphere among the fans, a real party atmosphere, and one of our favourite away days that I remember. So City also actually end the season beating Real in the Welsh Cup final at Cardiff Arms Park in front of a crowd of 16,500. So what a season to be champions of a league. As you can see there from the league table, we won the league. We haven't done that many times, whatever division we were in. So it was great to be champions and also Welsh Cup winners, to do the double. As I said, Eddie May was a massive fan's favourite. I think when I look back over 50 years, nearly 50 years of supporting City, I would say that him and Frank were the best managers in terms of affinity with the fans. Obviously, as I said, you could say we have better managers like Dave Jones in recent years. Neil Warnock had a bit of an affinity, but when I'm looking at real passion and togetherness and really behind the manager, I would definitely say Frank and Eddie were the top two. So City's top goal scorer that season were Pikey and Stans. Actually, they both had 12. Blakey got 11, Cohen Griffith 10, Caldale 8, and Ramsey, Miller and Richardson all chipped in with a few goals. So City averaged 8,560, and that was their highest actual average, believe it or not, since 1980, and actually would end up being our highest attendance from that date until 2002. And the previous season, as I said, it was just over 6. So it was a 35% increase, and there was a 50% increase on the previous season. So you can see, with Rick Wright involved, I think he brought in the Junior Bluebird Club. I think that was something we brought in, and that was a great idea as well. To end the season as champions and World Cup winners couldn't have been any better. I hope those of you who went down that season had really good memories of it. It would be really good to hear your comments on what was your memories of that time. It was a very, very good season, and as I said, it doesn't happen that often, winning a league and also the Welsh Cup. Obviously, in later seasons we weren't in the Welsh Cup. So thanks very much for watching Bluebird Corner. We really appreciate all your comments and likes. This channel is here for you as the Cardiff City fans. So any feedback we get is much appreciated. So thanks very much for watching, and we shall see you soon. Take care.